Breaking news. Toto Wolff has finally revealed his secret plan to end Max Verstappen's tyranny and give his star driver Lewis Hamilton the ever-elusive 8th title, putting him well above Michael Schumacher. Mercedes plans to shake things up for next year's Formula One season by overhauling almost every component in their car, hoping to reclaim their winning form. The German manufacturer faced a tough 2023 season, finishing second in the Constructors' Championship, but falling short against the formidable Red Bull team. Early on, Mercedes recognized a misstep in their car's aero platform. Despite implementing significant changes after the Monaco Grand Prix, the alterations weren't sufficient to propel them back to the front of the pack. The team has been transparent about heading in a new design direction for 2024. Team boss Toto Wolff has now unveiled the extensive overhaul taking place in Brackley. Wolff said, "We are changing the concept. We are completely moving away from how we laid out the chassis, the weight distribution, the airflow. I mean, literally, there's almost every component that's being changed, because only by doing that, I think we have a chance. We could get it wrong also. So, between not gaining what we expect, catching up and making a big step and competing in the front, everything is possible." When questioned about whether there was a feeling of hope or despair regarding the potential of the new car design to propel Mercedes back to the front, Wolff sounded grim in his response, admitting that, "I have never in my life felt optimistic about anything. It may sound a bit miserable, but it's protected me about managing my expectations and just pushing harder, because I think it's never good enough. That's why I sit here with a bittersweet feeling. We won P2 in the Constructors' Championship, but we lost P1. Although Mercedes could rejoice in securing the runner-up spot in the Constructors' Championship at the recent Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Wolff expressed that there were still mixed emotions lingering about the overall campaign. When asked by Motorsport.com whether finishing the year in second place was cause for celebration or a signal to move forward, Wolff said, "I think we need to take it on the chin, be humble about it, and consider it a good day. Nevertheless, there's a Mount Everest to climb in order to catch up with Red Bull. I have no doubt that McLaren is going to be right in the mix next year, and maybe Aston Martin, and maybe others. We must leave no stone unturned, which we do in Brixworth and Brackley. And as tough as it is to be reminded that it's just P2, it's also a great opportunity to come back and strive for the stars." As this season's losers voiced their disdain over Red Bull and its junior team deepening their collaboration for the upcoming season, Christian Horner, in an unprovoked shot against Toto and the Silver Arrows, has said that the Red Bull teams have never allowed a pink Mercedes onto the track. In the upcoming season, as part of AlphaTauri's rebranding, they will draw additional inspiration from Red Bull's Formula One cars. Helmut Marko shared the details with Austria's Kleine Zeitung, saying, "The orientation is clear, based on Red Bull racing, as far as the regulations allow. Do-it-yourself constructions are the wrong way." The growing collaboration between Red Bull and AlphaTauri has raised concerns among rival teams, with McLaren team principal Andrea Stella suggesting that these synergies might have contributed to AlphaTauri's gains towards the end of the season. He said, "They are the star in the slow corners now." Germany's Motorsport magazine anticipated it to be a focal point at the Abu Dhabi F1 Commission meeting, but according to Horner, the topic was never brought up. The British team principal then proceeded to uphold the collaboration between Red Bull and its junior team, reminding everyone that everything was within the rules, unlike the controversial pink Mercedes that made an appearance on the 2020 grid. He told the media, "It wasn't discussed in the commission, but no, I mean, we're an awfully long way away from a pink Mercedes. There's some transferable components that are clearly listed within the regulations that you're allowed to supply, and that's what they get. When you look at the car, there's quite fundamental differences between their car and a Red Bull racing car. And arguably, there's other cars on the grid, which are far closer in concept than an AlphaTauri is. You've only got to look at an Aston Martin, or even a McLaren. If you look around the rear suspension of McLaren, it's very close in concept to that of our own." Horner, as usual, couldn't help but throw an insult Mercedes' way. He mentioned that AlphaTauri's association with Red Bull would mirror the relationships between Ferrari and Mercedes with their customer teams. Horner explained that supplying the junior team with the necessary parts is permitted, and then it's up to AlphaTauri to make it work within the regulations. He drew a parallel to McLaren's performance this year, where they outpaced Mercedes in the second half of the championship. He said, "Of course, there are certain components that we can supply, as is the case with Ferrari and Mercedes that supply two Grand Prix teams with gearboxes and suspension and simulation tools, a wind tunnel. And that's the identical relationship between the companies, of course. It's then down to them how they use those tools. And you can see that McLaren have used the tools in certain respects better than their supplier has done in the second half of the year. So it's really down to them, how they made use of what they're permitted within the regulations." Unfortunately for Toto, Christian Horner isn't the only team boss out for his blood. Following Ferrari's inability to secure P2 in the Constructors' Championship from Mercedes, Fred Vasseur had nothing but bad things to say about the Silver Arrows. During his post-race interview, the Frenchman voiced his preference for finishing in P3 on a good tone rather than clinching P2 on a bad note. The Frenchman said, "You know perfectly that the mood of the team is built on results. We have the dynamic on our side. Our clear target was to finish P2, but it was good to finish P3 on a good tone than P2 on a bad." The season kicked off with Mercedes outperforming Ferrari in most races, yet in the final stretch, the momentum shifted in favor of the prancing horse. Vasseur expressed satisfaction with having momentum on his side as they head into 2024, even though it meant missing out on the extra $10 million for finishing P2. While Mercedes managed to hold on to P2 in the Constructors' Championship, the second half of the 2023 season brought its fair share of challenges. Both Lewis Hamilton and George Russell encountered persistent problems with the car's brake and balance. Adding to the woes, the team grappled with reliability concerns throughout the campaign. Hamilton voiced his concerns about these issues on multiple occasions, and unfortunately for Mercedes fans, he encountered similar challenges during the qualification of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. James Allison and his team are now putting in their best efforts to rediscover their form for the upcoming 2024 campaign. Even though Lewis Hamilton went the entire season without winning a Grand Prix, extending his winless streak to 45 races, Toto Wolff has no doubt in Hamilton's ability to become an 8-time world champion. But it all depends on his secret plan for the W15. The team has fallen short of delivering in the last 2 seasons, acknowledging errors with their ground effect aerodynamic cars. Hamilton made his lack of confidence known after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, finishing in 9th place, a considerable 44 seconds behind Max Verstappen, who won the race with a 17-second lead over Charles Leclerc. When questioned about Mercedes' potential to challenge Red Bull in the upcoming season, he said, "I don't really know. For Red Bull to win 17 seconds in the end, and they haven't developed their car since August, is definitely a concern." His boss is a bit more optimistic, believing that Hamilton will not only get more Grand Prix victories, but can still contend for that record-breaking 8th championship. He told the media, "From Lewis's perspective, he had a bad weekend. Fact, and I think that doesn't do anything on him being the greatest driver in the world. If we are able to give him a car, then he will be fighting for a world championship. I have no doubt. It's clear that when you have an F1 car like we have now, you are never at ease with it. And you have good weekends and bad weekends. But at the end, every time when we've seen that Lewis has somebody in his target in front of him, and it was about winning the race, then the real Lewis comes alive. And I think we just need to give him a car." What do you think? Will Toto Wolff's secret plan be enough to finally give Lewis Hamilton the 8th title he's been begging for? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for the hottest F1 news.